So let's just talk about what you were just saying just there. So, we were talking about, the impact of COVID and football fans, and, you're missing the fact that you can't get to the game on Saturday, which of course is not just
Sunday.
impacting
Well,
you.
yeah, I am.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
on.
Sunday, isn't it? Of course, our game's on Sunday. Um, I mean, what's the impact for you been like for that? Like, you talked physically going to the games, but also then you mentioned emotionally.
No, well, if you're going to be connected to a football club for as long as I've been connected, or most of my friends have been connected to a football club, it becomes emotional. It's about faith, ultimately. It's no concept. Yeah, it's not entertainment. You don't go in and get a happy ending at the end of it. There is no concept. So to commit for it for that long without being a consistent winner, it then becomes about faith and emotion. If you don't believe that, well, you're not really concentrating, in my personal opinion. So then, it is absolutely, it's like your family, the people you go with, the people you sit with. In my case, I've sat with these people for 20 odd years since this seat's been there. So you do then have not just an emotional, you'd have like a familial relationship with them. We do anyway, so I miss it, really, absolutely. But also the preparation, it's a whole week. You'd have to get tickets, you'd have to sort people out, you go, you sort your travel. It's not just turning up on the day of an away game, it's a whole thing going to watch a football team regularly.
It's far more like you just said. It's more like a faith.
It's
You're.
absolutely faith. I've just said that to you. It's
Mm,
absolutely faith because it's belief. Faith is believing in something that cannot be proven to be true. That's the ultimate essence of it. Well, that's what we do. We believe, we hope it's going to get better. And for us right now, in the last 3 weeks, this is as good as it's been in 30 years. We haven't seen him kick a ball yet. This is as good as it's been in 30 years. There is the reward of your faith. 12 months ago, we couldn't have even, honestly, we couldn't have even dreamt to be even, never mind, I'll reiterate, we haven't kicked the ball yet, we don't know if we're any good yet, but just to be sitting here with this manager and this team and this potential of where we can go now is literally light years, different galaxy, Schrodinger's cat to where we were, honestly.
it is. I mean, I've been Everton all my life as well. But I'm from Devon, so
Yeah,
I've always supported Everton from a distance. I get to Goodison.
no, Rob,
Oh, I get to Goodison probably once or twice a season, and I see some of the away games in London. So I'm
yeah,
nothing ever close to your level, but like it does feel like a crazy time for Evertonians.
yeah,
Ancelotti's our manager. We just signed Rodriguez. Like it's hard to really contemplate what's happened. I was watching some of Rodriguez's goal. I can't say his name. I was watching some of his goals in the World Cup, and I was like, I can't believe he plays for us.
yeah. I'll tell you what I couldn't believe. I couldn't believe that Times Square thing. That's when I started looking at it going, this is literally write a new page. Don't go and look at the playbook because we haven't never seen this playbook. Write a new playbook from today because this is different. And any Evertonian walking this planet looked at that and said, this isn't different. Nah, they're wrong because it's different. Whether it's any good or not, we will yet to discover. But to say that it's not different, that's incorrect because this is big time. You can see it, the profile. I seen something yesterday that just this media campaign this week had 400 million views or was exposed to 400 million people. For Everton transfers, that's incredible. And if that's a sign of what's potentially to come, well, buckle up, boys. It's time to take off, as
It
Beyonce once said.
it feels like
Paraphrase.
it feels like something. It feels like something special is there. Like we've been building this for a while. We've had the change of managers a few times
Yes,
recently, and
however, we are Everton, we're Evertonians. We need to caveat that with, let's see what happens.
yeah.
The actual thing is, the change is to be here in this mindset and not. I've just spoke to my brother-in-law 15 minutes ago about a similar thing, and he's been with me all this time watching the match for most of his life. And I said to him, the difference is we normally play 4 games before we start buying anybody. So we're already 12 points behind by the time we get our squad to play the season we're supposed to be playing in. That's what we do. We've done that for a generation. So to be here today with options, and let's be honest, that last 9 games, it was horrendous. It was horrendous. There was more. There wasn't any answers. We didn't even know the questions to the answers by the end of it, to be honest. So it wasn't good. And where we've been in the last, say, 5 years alone, it hasn't been good. So this has been an absolute shot in the arm for us, psychologically, belief-wise, where to go forward. I need to reiterate, no one's seen us kick a ball yet, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But we can say we've rediscovered belief, perhaps, I would suggest.
When you're talking about discovering belief, where did this all come from? From a very young age?
For me personally?
Yeah, when you become an Everton fan, I don't know how old you were or what it was that you said, right, we're Everton.
I lived, my whole family are Evertonians. My grandmother had a season ticket to Everton until she was, and had it right. She was Bayern Munich, all of that, the 80s team. My nan had a season ticket. Oh, my dad had a season ticket. I had exposure to Everton Football Club. So I was in the ground at 4.
So you were born into Everton. You were. There was no choice. There was just you. That was the faith. You straight in Everton all the way.
This place where I live now was my nan's place. This is in Everton where I'm speaking to you now. And we used to go walk to the ground and back. And I came back to look after them. Now my nan passed away and I stayed here.
How far away are you from Goodison Park?
A mile, less, just give or take.
Oh wow! So you get to.
And there is the other place, I mean, Everton Goodison. Equidistance. Anyway, but my exposure to it has been literally my whole life. I had Evertonians around from early doors. So yeah, it's been just something like that.
What's your earliest memories of being an Everton fan? Like going to the games? Like what were those early memories, or even early games?
2 words: Alan, ball. That's all I was interested in. Till I was about 8 or 9. That's all I was interested in.
What was it about Alan Ball?
Everything. Pick a card, any card. Seriously, ask any Evertonian my age. Fortunately enough to see him, but any Evertonian my age anyway. Why did you suppose Everton? My dad and Alan Ball. End of story. So yeah, that was it, Balling. I used to go and watch him when I was a kid, and genuinely, sometimes the other team would have the ball going towards our net, and I'd just watch Balling. I'd watch him running around doing things, like off the ball and on the ball. I'd just watch him. So yeah, Balling, absolutely.
What's your favourite memory of Alan Ball?
My personal favourite memory is in the European Cup game against Borussia Mönchengladbach. And it's the first game that's ever gone to penalties in European football. It's the first time it's ever happened. And it goes to penalties, and Borley walks up to the penalty in the street end goal with his socks rolled down and literally rolls it into the corner and just walks away. Top man. Top man. Never mind. I think this fella knew what time it was, by the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah, as a kid, it was also about. Actually, it was about 10 o'clock at night by the time he did the extra time, played the game, extra time, and then penalties, which he'd never done before. So it took 10 minutes to work out what they were all doing and how you do it, and which end you go down. So it was like, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10 past 10. I was normally in bed, 10 o'clock, 10 past 10. I'm in the ground with my dad, and like that. I'll never forget that, ever.
And so in the Howard's Way film, of course, you were a star in the Howard's Way film.
I wasn't a star. I was in it as a supporter. The players were the stars.
Well, I don't know. I think you were a star in some ways because you really brought some great context to it. So that story about you phoning up the Everton manager, that's a real thing that happened.
Yeah, that happened. That was Ball. That was because Alan Ball got sold.
Got sold, went to Arsenal, didn't he?
Yeah, £220,000. Yeah.
What a mistake. So what happened on that day? You.
It was my mum's birthday. Actually, it was 3 days before Christmas, and I was getting for Christmas a chopper bike an Everton kit, with an away amber kit with 8 on the back, didn't still have names on, 8 on the back, and a pair of white Hummel Allen Ball boots. 3 days later, that was my Christmas. And me and my mum were sitting in the house. She was ironing. I seem to remember. It was her birthday. And it come on the radio. Said Everton, Allen Ball's been sold to Arsenal, broke the British transfer record for the second time, blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at my mother and went, what? What did he say? And I just don't know. It just went in my head. And I went, I remember, I'd been going to match. So I had a load of programmes. And in the programmes upstairs, you used to have the number, actual telephone number of the person. You used to list it, whose number it was. So I rang the club. I don't know what possessed me to do it. I was an 8-year-old child. But so I asked my mum for money. I went to the phone box and I rang the phone and got through to the secretary, got through to the Harry Patrick secretary. And just gave her a piece of my mind. It's perfectly calm to be here. Yeah, did yeah. She was very nice and really polite about it and dead understanding. I'm sure she felt exactly the same because we all did. Alan Ball, to talk to you now about Alan Ball leaving Everton is honestly, if you experience Wayne Rooney leaving Everton or Duncan Ferguson leaving Everton, times it by 10. Honestly, that was the impact. If you think about Shankly at the time at Liverpool, it wasn't the players, it was Shankly, he was the hero over there. And he was the same, he was the absolute killer for everybody. My granddad, my dad, my nan, me, everybody.
So it's like a part of your family has just been let go.
You know what? His family and now my family, I'm really good friends with all of them. Jimmy's like a brother to me. I'm blessed to do that. But I'd love both of our fathers to see what we're like today. That is incredible. That's a gift. What I've been given, that from just how. Anyway, I don't know how it happened, but I'm really grateful that it did. Yeah.
Wow. What did you actually say on the phone? Can you remember?
Yeah, I basically, it wasn't what it said in the film. I was just like, how can you even think to do that? What possessed you? What really? I can't remember verbatim what I said because I was angry. I must have been angry to go and do it. My dad wasn't there. My dad had probably said, sit down, shut up, we'll talk about it tomorrow. My dad wasn't there. My mum just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't tell her what I was doing. I just went upstairs, found my programme, found a number, asked her for money, and went and did it myself. And then I come back and told her what I'd done. I didn't tell her I was going to do it. So it was kind of, I literally didn't think about it. And then when we were making the film with Rob later, we'd been doing it for like months, maybe 6 months. And then one day I said, did he ever tell you that story about where the thingy? And he went, I need to meet your mum. And I went, oh, I don't know. Anyway, so he pressed it. My mum's like, I don't need it. So I got them together one day with a coffee. And I let them crack on. And he said, so what happened? And my mum said, oh, well, what were you doing with it? And he told him, he just looked at me and went, I've got to start the film. I've got the other thing on the film. As long as... And then he had to convince her to be in the film, which was a whole different drama altogether. But yeah, it's funny when things come back.
I'm really pleased that you did the film. I mean, it really brought. So I was saying to Rob, I'm 39, so I wasn't there. I was born in '81 when Howard Kendall took over, so I was far too young to know what was going on. But it brought real context because it was we didn't know. I didn't know, and a lot of my friends we didn't know what was going on. But I'm really pleased you guys did tell that story because we certainly didn't.
Point.
Yeah,
that was the point. It was when I met Rob. I'd spoken to him on Twitter for maybe a couple of years, ostensibly about cricket. Actually, although we both knew each other was an Evertonian, but for the most part, when I spoke to him, it was we have a mutual love of cricket, specifically the West Indies of the 70s, both of us. Anyway, so we began with that, and then one day it was West Ham away in the cup under Roberto Martinez, the penalties game, and it was 13-14. Well, it was that night, and I met him first at our time. The bowling ground's really compact, so downstairs, shockhead, if it's full, you literally have to work your way through the crowd. And he stopped me and said, I'm the lad from, he said, from Twitter spoke to you about the cricket. I went, oh yeah, I do remember you. And he went, I've got this idea for a film about how Kendall did it. Would you be interested in being it? Again, I'm not remembering verbatim what he said, but ostensibly that was the gist of it. So I could tell, and he gave me some of his, like a synopsis of what he'd done. Only like bullet points, not a big spiel. But he just hit me with like 4 or 5 things, said this, and this. And just talking to him in that brief moment, I was like, he's serious. So if you're ever going to do this project, thing about this project though, it's all right getting all the garlands now, but I spent most of it with my head in my hands going, if we get this wrong, nobody is ever going to forgive us. Because you get one shot at this, so make sure that we get everything, as much as possible. Nobody's perfect, but to have that as our mission statement, to make sure we nail the important stuff, and never mind about what the club think, never mind about what the papers think. If this is a film by us, for us, ostensibly it is for a wider audience, and obviously there's money invested, so we need to get some back. But if you're not true to those things at the start, that won't be the product at the end. And all of us who were involved in it felt the same way. And then we convinced the players to buy into it. And then once they did that, it kind of just went from there. But going back to your original point, he sold me then. And then when it went to extra time with the penalties, he ended up coming and standing by me in extra time. So I got a little bit more then. I got half an hour more then. But then at the end of it, he says to me, it's going to take me 2 years. And I just looked at him and went, why? You just told me how it's going to take 2 years. And I thought he was winding me up. Or that just, it was a great idea, but it would never happen. Well, then 2 years later, virtually to the week, I got up one morning with a message there saying, do you remember me? Like what you did. Do you remember me? I was like, yeah, I really do. He said, well, I'm not ready to make the film, but I'm ready to talk about making the film. So, is there any way we can get a meeting? And it basically just went from there.
It's amazing. You guys nailed it, because it's iconic, and it's iconic now, and it will be iconic in the future, and it will only gain more weight as time goes on, because it's the greatest time we ever had as a club, I think. I mean,
yes.
for us,
yes.
Well, that's the question.
Yes.
Like, so does where we are now, especially with the new stadium, with the new manager, with the money, what does that, like, how could the next 5 years compare to, what do you reckon?
I am not buying that. What I'm going to debate to you again is potentially, you just said then to me, you were born in 1981 when Howard came in. Well, when Howard came in, it looked nothing whatsoever. It was a different planet to what we were going to see in 1984, 85, and from that point on. So let's not judge it. This is typical Evertonians. Yeah. We want everything known in the first 10 minutes. I said to you at the start, there's no contract. It starts like this, you get to the middle, and then there's a happy ending at the end. There isn't.
It doesn't work like that. You're right.
This out. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's say we've got today, as I'm speaking to you, potentially the best possible chance of reaching standards somewhere in that oeuvre, just to be in that vicinity. We've got potential to get back there. Well, having made that film, when we sat down and talked about it, when we made the plans, when we did the individual filming, when we had the premiere, when the players watched it, when Carlo Ancelotti watched it, we never had those circumstances. None of that was true when we made that film. Yet here we sit today, and potentially, who knows what might happen. That's what I'd rather concentrate on. We haven't seen us kick a ball yet.
What was it like supporting Everton through that Howard Kendall era?
Fabulous. If you want a soundbite, I'll go with fabulous. But so was, honestly, I've seen, when I was a kid in school, Liverpool were undoubtedly the greatest team in Europe, and it wasn't even an argument. And this is for 5 or 6 or 7 years. It wasn't even an argument. And so I had to live through that. I never loved Everton for a microgram less than what I did when we were winning in '85. That was just like felt like vindication. That doesn't ever change for me. Winning is great, but that's not what I came for. That's not the thing what keeps me here. It's bigger than that. It's like trying to describe your family. Why do you love your family? It's like, how long have you got? You know what I mean? It's like that. It was great to say that. It was fabulous, and I want it more. I want it for myself because I've also given my life to it, but I want it for the kids. I want the young ones who really, they bought into it because we bought into it, and now it's time for them to get a payoff, in my opinion. So that'll be lovely.
When we so he took over in 81, didn't he? 80. What came first? Just remind me. What came first? Was it? It was the FA Cup was first, wasn't it? Yeah. So
first we got to the Milk Cup final. Then we lost the Milk Cup final in replay. Then we beat Southampton in the semi-final and got to play Watford in the final. We beat Watford in the final. We then went on, won the FA Cup. Then went into the next season, stuttered a bit at the start, but by October we were just like a machine and just rolled over that whole season. In the process, we got to another FA Cup final and got beat by 10-man Man United, not on my side, but we also won the European Cup at Rotterdam the same season. So that was 3 trophies in a year and a week, or a year and 2 weeks. Then, the next season, with Lineker and the team, we lost the double. I think it was 2 points and we stayed 45 minutes at Wembley in the cup final, referring to. And then that was a blow. To lose both of those things to Liverpool just felt like living through it at the time, just felt like the same old, same old. Well, to come back the next year, the gaffer, we made a film about 85, but in a certain respect, there's also a film to be made about 87 because he literally got us over the line. Look at how many players he used that year and look at where they were. Pat was centre half for most of the games he played. Really, it was like that. It was Trevor Steven and AD&E both got 20 goals, I think, that year. And he was superb, absolutely superb. And I think it was Sheed as well, outstanding. The rest of them never didn't play. He had a broken ankle, so Sharpie was out, Reedy was out, all kinds of problems, and it often gets overlooked how much that meant to us having the previous season where we lost the double to them. So I just thought that mattered.
And do you go to obviously home games, of course, for a lot of seasons? Do you go away as well? Is it as full? So you're home and away. How long have you been doing that for?
Just since I was a kid, basically.
Wow. How many games do you reckon you've seen?
Never counted.
I spoke to Ian Cheeseman, and so he follows Man City, and he reckons he's seen around 2,300 over 4 decades. It's so I think you're going to be similar. Well, yeah, similar sort of numbers. It's going to be an incredible number seeing them home and away.
I know loads of people who do exactly the same thing. Genuine. I know like hundreds. I know them personally, and so the thing about this is it's not being it to figure out. If you get it, you understand it. It's kind of one of those hashtag things. If you know, you know. I'm not going there with it, but the people who get it, you don't question it. Of course you do. But other people look at it and say, "Oh, I couldn't," or whatever. It's just whatever you do. Do you know what I mean? Some people do DIY of a weekend and build a thing. I don't. You know, I do this. I've always done this.
I wish I lived closer. I think I know the days when I've been to Everton or I've been to football matches. They're just the best days. You wake up, you're excited about it for like weeks before. I mean, for you, I mean, you're seeing them all the time, but for me, you're excited weeks before, and the days leading up to it. I remember the first game I went to. You might remember this, maybe, I don't know. I think it was 88, and we drew 3-3 with Villa. And I don't even remember this, but Tony Daly scored from like the corner flag, and it broke my heart because I think we were 3-2 up, and it ended up being 3-3, something like that. And but I remember I got on a bus from Devon, We went up there with all Twyford Spartans. That was the football team I played for at the time, and I think it was '88, something like that. And it was just, I was the most excited I've ever been. My dad said I was nearly poorly the night before, so I couldn't sleep. I was just there. I was like, I can't sleep. I'm just so wired. I just think it's going to watch the team that you love and you're so passionate around, but you're still on a different level because.
No. Can I just stop you there? I'm not on a different level. That what you just said there is precisely what I'm trying to tell you. If you get it, you get it. I'm not on a different level. I'm just on your level. I just live near it and had more opportunity to do it. I also had a family who they didn't just encourage me, they actively took me to take part in the game. I remember the blue of the stands, how green the grass was. Oh my God, when I walked into that stadium, I still can't remember it. I remember the smells. You used to be able to smoke, and I used to remember
You could smoke in the games. Yeah.
Absolutely, till like about 10 years ago. But I'm talking about years ago when I was a kid, and everybody smoked. Some people had had pipes, some people had been smoking ciggies. You smelled cigars, beer. All the fellas would be drinking beer. Those were intrinsic to my formulation of my years as Everton. So what I'm saying to you is yours, mine is mine. It's not better or anything. It's just the same.
No, I'm with you. I understand.
And also, the other thing is, Rob's from that area too. He's from Devon as well. So I kind of get it because I've been through that with him while I was making the film. And he was no different to us. He was no less passionate than us just because he lived there. If that's what it does to your soul when you're getting ready, and especially as a kid, like I said to you before, that's what I want. I want those kids now to feel things akin to what I felt in my youth, even if it's just a passing thing, just to get it in order to be able to pass it on to the next generation. Because there's none so zealous as a convert. So if you've seen it yourself, you then preach from the pulpit about it. That's what we've done to them about Neville's and Gaffer and Borley. Well, now it's their turn to go and preach about Carlo and Jordan.
There's no question. I mean, I know my favourite memories when I was younger, being from Devon, we used to, my dad and I, obviously went to that Villa game, but then we'd always quite often take me to the Southampton games away.
Yeah.
And I actually saw, I think one of the first games was 4-3 to Everton. Alan Shearer was 17, I think, back then, and he scored. It was just like the best day, just the most amazing day. And also I just remember that day about, it was me and my dad, we were the boys, we were going off, again, excited about it for weeks, getting to see the game. It's just the most amazing thing. And I'm sure that's probably the same for lots of other football fans. Well, other football, of course it is. That's the passion. That's what we love about football so much. It just.
See, on that point though, that's the bit now what I fear for this post-COVID environment we're going to get into, because Sky packages, BT packages, things on your phone, they're fabulous, great. The internet's changed my life personally. However, if you snip that bond, that thing, that visceral experience of, like I just said to you, I remember smells of where I'll guess you said 2,500 games. I've been to thousands of football games, however many it is. So I've been to that many of those experiences, yet I still remember the original ones. If you break that bond, I fear for this game in 25 years, if it becomes spectator participants outside the ground, socially and physically distanced over an extended period, I think we might have problems, to be honest, because there's that much now crying for people's attention, particularly children's attention. So if you don't, you've got to literally buy in for this for life. If you get it, you usually do buy into it for life. But if you take away that experience, it doesn't matter where you live, even if it's only once or twice in your own experience. But I do believe that it's very important.
What do you think is going to happen with the COVID situation then? I mean, what's your season ticket status now? And is there?
Can you go? But I haven't got it yet.
can you get to? Obviously, you can't get to the games because I guess wasn't the Premier League saying that you could have 30%, or they were staggering it or something?
That was the idea. No, yeah, 27%, and it'll be a ballot if we were to get that. But now it's 6 people maximum, so that's out for that. I seen something last night saying Liverpool Merseyside is about to be put on a watch list and probably be locked down next week. So right now we really can't predict. We can't preempt anything.
It's scary to think this is going to be with us for a while, and if this is a plague for us certainly for this season.
But the thing what you'd say, existentially, society-wise, the government-wise, is this is not a stick and plaster problem where you get over it for 3 weeks and then you need to solve this problem. So don't get us in the ground if we're not ready to go back in the ground yet. It's like putting you on trains when you can't. You still should be there. Find a solution and then do it, because otherwise this really will go on and on and on and on and on. Because, for example, SARS has still not got a vaccine, and that was 2012. I think what we've just been talking about supporters in the ground. Moreover, it's the other issue, the financial issue, all the in-house entertainments, the programs, the turnover in the shop from the football. It's all of those knock-on things. It's not just my club, it's every single club in the pyramid. So right now, who knows? This government's clueless. I'm not trying to make this into a party political broadcast, but they're clueless on everything. Literally everything. So I haven't got much faith, to use the operative term of the interview. I haven't got much faith that they're about to find a solution to the whole problem, and then which football can then be a microcosm of that solution. Do you see what I'm trying to say to you? I think we're miles away from it right now today.
Definitely a concerning time. Do you think it impacts the football? Do you think the type of football, the quality of football, do you think there's a change?
Actually, potentially, yeah. However, right now, I think the last one, what we just saw, those 9 games, it was basically a title procession for Liverpool. If we hadn't have been in that position, I don't think we'd have played the games, because they weren't great. It was very different. There was 5 substitutions or whatever it was. It was gerrymandered, to be perfectly frank. I don't think that will be so much the case this time, because it's a full race under all those conditions. That last one, what we just did then, was like starting an 800-meter race, getting 680 meters into the race, and then saying, "Oh, by the way, we changed it to a 1500-meter steeplechase." So that's what happened. You literally changed the rules of the game not even halfway through it, 3/4 of the way through it. Well, this one won't. At least we'll all know what we're doing going into it. So I'm hoping that, no, it might be a little bit different, because the other one wasn't great, to be honest.
It was hard, wasn't it? I mean, as a fan, I remember sitting through the Tottenham game, and I was like, this isn't. I fell asleep, and I was just like, this is really hard to watch. And
it wasn't just Everton. It was
all of the games. All of the games were hard, right? Weren't they?
No, because specifically this game, as in within the realm of sport, it's interactive with the crowd. It's literally, it's not only interactive, it's bipartisan. It's like in Parliament, one side ostensibly hates the other side. Doesn't matter who you play. One side always, it's pathos. It's like that. It's like theatre. So it literally is. Rugby isn't like that. Cricket isn't like that. Nowhere else is like that. But this, it's an element. If you're making a cake, that has to be in it for it to be football. Doesn't matter what level it is. Even in the park, it's still like that. So there is an element to that. And because of the fans, especially this generation of players have grown up with the fans being that much of a part of the game, well, it's obviously going to take time to adjust to.
Yeah, it is. I think we've only. I mean, we always knew the fans are an important point, but I think we're really realizing how important it is now. Because you're right, they're an intrinsic part. Because if you're shouting at a player or you're cheering a player, that absolutely definitely. I'm convinced that changes his performance or her performance.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I think it's a good
I
thing.
don't think that's a bad thing, that clubs and the league and the people who run the FA generally and the Premier League finally get to understand that this isn't just a cash cow, and unquestioning, oncoming, ever moving forward cash cow, what you can just milk at your leisure. Now they're going to demand a voice and a place, and you understand that it's an actual plank of the game, how you've built this foundation, this multi-million-dollar machine you've made. Well, all of this is built on certain fundamental planks. Well, fan participation is definitely one of them. And I think because of all the Sky thing and the let's milk you for another 5 channels watching the same channel you've just been watching over there, that whole thing on letting it go and no one charging kids £60 for kits when in 3 months the bodies are going to grow bigger anyway. That's wrong. In my personal opinion, that's wrong. However, this recognising the importance of the fans, well, that might have a knockdown effect later down the line, hopefully.
How do you think you've seen football change from those very early days to now? I mean, it's so commercial now, isn't it? I mean, me and Rob joked before, and he said, "Go on, Simon, you can say it. Football was better in the '80s," and I laughed. And I was like, "It was definitely more real and more authentic, and it was definitely different back then to what it is now." I mean, what's your by actually going there every week, seeing it every week, and seeing it develop and change?
It's completely different. It's completely different. I mean, there's still 11 men kicking the ball against 11 men and with goalposts and etc. But the experience is totally different. At least, actually, my club still has a lot of dad, lad, daughter things. There's a lot of that at my club. We really do. The kids have got a large percentage of season ticket holders that are children or under 16 certainly. So there is an element of that, but it's the rest of it. It's commercialised. Think about when I was a kid, the shop didn't even used to sell kits. You could buy a comb or a pennant or a mug or something else. Everton never used to sell kits in the shop, ever. I never saw kits in the shop when I was a kid. Like a replica, nah. So you didn't used to milk you for money. You were you knew you'd have to pay in, and you were kind of grateful for you to be there. After that, there was no come into this and give them some more money for this. It was just, okay, you come and watch us, you pay your money, you either get a season ticket or you walk up and pay on the day. And that was the end of it. That's what's changed. Now, everything is a revenue stream, which is an inevitable consequence of introducing capitalism into a working man game, unfortunately.
Well, I think some clubs see it as a day out. I mean, I know I'm close to. I got a good friend of mine is a Chelsea fan, and he takes his kids, but he sees it as a day out. It's a day out for them to go. They don't go. They're not season ticket holders, but when they do, they have a proper day and all that sort of thing. It's a day out, but he's like, it's a really expensive day out for them.
Yeah.
But that's maybe how a lot of people are seeing it with the way the stadiums are built now and everything else as well.
Well, that's the change. There's a myriad of stuff, but no, I get what he means, and you absolutely would do that. But I don't know. I don't really like a lot of it, to be honest. See, I don't watch football on television for the most part. I certainly never subscribe to Murdoch, and so I don't really. I'm not personally involved in that side, but I get that everybody else is because they've got kids. Kids want to. If my dad, I'd have done the same thing, so I kind of get it. But the whole thing's completely changed now. Society has changed, but this game has got if ever there's been a time for navel gazing for English and European football, well, it's right now. It's right at this point because it's the value of players, for example, the overpaying of players, agents' fees, all these bourgeois. I'm not trying to get into political theory here, but I'm just saying it's kind of, we've got loads of money, so a little bit of wastage, that's okay, as long as we're making loads of money. Well, everything's going to be questioned because people are going to be reticent about spending money because they don't know how much income they're going to have, because they don't know if they're going to be in a job 6 months, 12 months from here. And this might be a moment to say, where do we go from here? How do we seem to be effective as an industry, not just individual clubs? It's a big question. There's a lot of questions and a lot of potential answers to it. But if ever they were going to do it, England, why the Premier League started in the first place, what is its raison d'etre? Why are we here? If clubs are potentially going out of business, which was what was going to happen last season, by getting relegated by a circumstance which was nothing completely out of their control, is that wrong in essence? I don't know. It's all philosophical questions, but if you're ever going to do it, this is the time to do it. Either that or don't ever do it, kind of thing. So,
what do you think? We say, if we were ever going to do it, what do you think, or what are you suggesting that should change?
My personal hope would be not the German model, because I don't think we'll ever get to the German model, but an element of the German model where fan participation is mandatory, 15%. So you get a board member, or maybe even two, from some sort of fan base on every board in every club in the country. You wouldn't get no power from it, but it's at least representation. It's incremental progress. That's all I'd say, because otherwise, I think in the coming years, especially with the potential of this COVID, you might see a couple of Premier League clubs go out of business, which in an industry what makes as much money as this one does, that's obscene. I mean,
that sounds like a really great idea. I mean, so what's the German model, and then what's the model you're suggesting?
The German model is, I think it's 49% of each club is owned by the fans.
Is it? I didn't know that.
So that's the whole Bundesliga. I wrote about it about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, but off the top of my head, I think that's still the case, or somewhere around those figures.
So I mean, this makes a lot of sense, right? I mean,
I just stop you there? It doesn't make a lot of sense when most Premier League clubs are owned by oligarchs or single financial powerhouses, or a conglomerate of people like that. Because why would they let somebody into that environment when that's your problem? There's a kind of socialist element to the Bundesliga, in that they recognise the value of the fans and now gave them not the keys to the kingdom, but certainly a voice in participation in how we go forward. That's what I was going for. I don't mean we should have a communist revolution and the fans take over. That's not what I'm talking about. We were talking about how football realises the value of fan participation. Well, I would suggest, if I was going to make one change, that's what it would be.
If we could get fans on just fan representation on a board of a club, it does seem like a sensible, great thing to do, like for people that followed their clubs, but you like you suggested, the big investment from abroad or from wherever, they'd probably, I can't see how they would allow that, but it just seems like a great thing for us to do.
It's an ideal. You just pulled it out the air and said to me, pick a thing what you could improve. Well, that's what I'd pick. Because off the top of my head, I've got friends who are West Ham fans, and I really truly believe, as an outsider looking in, that club, specifically the board, needs somebody from the fan base to be able to sit in there and say, even if it's only in every meeting saying, I disagree, I vote against, and just at least be in the room to be able to say, do you listen to my concerns? Whether you factor them in your eventual decision, that's up to you. But I need you to know that they exist here now in front of you, not in a picket line, not with leaflets outside, here in the process. That would be a step forward for me personally.
There's a lot of, well, I say a lot. I don't want to generalise, but I know I've got a few. One of my family, my brother-in-law's West Ham. Yeah. He's a season ticket. Well, he goes to most games, and he said there's so much unrest. They're so frustrated as a fan base.
And we've been there. We've had our own troubles with our own. I'm not talking about specific. I use them as an example to make the point. I wasn't talking about West Ham specifically. I just think Newcastle would be another one. With him up there, it's that's the problem with it. So getting back to the point about, are we just in this to make money, or are we looking to have, this game's 150 years old nearly. So where are we going to be in 50 years? Where are we going to be in 100 years? And where are we going to be in 150 years? You all get paid a lot of money to be thinking about these things, or if you're not, you should be. That's the point. So then, okay, get a piece of paper, put some ideas on it. It's long-term thinking, but if this has been a pause nobody foresaw, so maybe it's time to do it now, or at least consider it now. I don't know. Hypothetical.
How far away is the new stadium for Everton?
If you put a spade in the ground, he submitted the proposal yesterday or the day before. If it's accepted, they will put a spade in the ground weeks later. Once they put a spade in the ground, I understand it's 3.5 years after that.
Okay. So it's still a few seasons, still a while. Cause it's really reading all the different media bits and where it is and all the pictures and everything, the recoveries. And I always ask the question, think of where are we actually in the process and how far away is it? But it sounds like...
No, well, if you'd have asked me in the summer, I probably would have said I don't know, but they literally just submitted it 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So yeah, that will be the process. It'll be 3.5 years after that.
Do you think, just your opinion, because I'm close to London, I go to see some of the London clubs. So I used to go to Highbury occasionally, and then of course I've been to the Emirates. It's totally different now. And most again being around this way, I've got friends who are Arsenal fans who've been going for years, and they're just like, it's totally different. It's a different atmosphere. Football's different. If you think about the football under George Graham to what it was under Wenger, it's just totally different. The club's changed. It's almost unrecognisable.
Yeah.
I worry. I get scared. Because I love Goodison and I love the atmosphere and I love the fortress. I love those big nights we get. I do worry about the new stadium. Do you think that will change us in any way?
I worry about it too. However, it's a collective endeavour. Specifically being an Evertonian, it's like a socialist enterprise. It's a collective endeavour. There's no best this, or we all see where we're all going, and then we all go there. Well, they voted to go there, so most people want to go there. But I truly worry about it. I worry about more what we're losing rather than what we're going to gain, to be honest. Because I think I've just said to you, my mates are West Ham fans, and they still haven't got to grips with playing at that ground. They've got no home advantage from playing there. So they, like us, had a specific home advantage. That chicken run used to terrify teams every year, even by players who've been there before. And to give that up is a big deal. I get why you do it, and we're back to the financial lottery.
And that's what it feels like. It's a financial decision.
Yeah, it's absolutely a financial decision. You just saw that the first thing we done when we signed James is put it on a billboard in New York City. Jesus, you know what I mean? Well, you didn't used to put on a billboard in town years ago. So no, this is where we are now. So my opinion is it's valid, I suppose, but it's not really relevant because we made the decision and that's been done. So now it's about making the best of where we're going to be. Pragmatism is, my heart will literally be broken. They'll have to pull my fingers from my seat to get me out of the ground on the last time. But that being the case, it's going to happen. And if you do the the proposal, I think they'll put the spade in the ground weeks after.
Yeah. I mean, West Ham have definitely lost something. You know, again, being London, I used to go to Upton Park a lot, and I've been to the new stadium, and it's just now. Unfortunately, I went there on the day when we lost 3-0 to West Ham, and it was Allardyce's last game in charge. Oh God, it was an awful. It was so strange, by the way, being in the ground, and both fans were singing a song about Allardyce, which wasn't very complimentary.
Yeah.
And because I think Allardyce relegated West Ham, and so both fans were very much at the end of their tether. It was.
Yeah, it's
We
not.
we had one collective in
Yeah, I
seeing
remember that.
that.
Yeah, I haven't been to a new ground, but I like, to be honest. I'm not talking about Europe, you know. I'm talking about Premier League. I haven't been to a new. They all just look the same to me. A little bit different around things. I'm not a fan, but then I'm the age what I am, and I've come from the history what I've come from. So I'm not trying to say my opinion is more valid than anybody else. Just me personally, I go even Tottenham's. I've been to Tottenham one time, two. This is the second time. I haven't been able to go there, but I went the first time. I'm like, oh no, it's bright and shiny. It just seems like buying something new for buying something new's sake, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We'll see. But with the exception of Leicester, nobody's really, and that was a one-off occasion. Nobody's really kicked on, and everybody who's moved to new grounds was sold the principle of we go there, we get loads of money, we get good, we win stuff. That really hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened.
No. So that would be me fear.
I had tickets for that Spurs game, that Spurs away game, and then COVID happened a week before.
I had them as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, because I don't go as much, it's just like
No, I get it. I get it.
it's just looking for. I would look at. I think I got those tickets. I don't know, 6 months or whatever before. So we've been excited about that for so bloody long.
Mm.
It's yeah. God, football's in a funny old place, isn't it?
It is. The society is in a funny old place at the moment, and it's reactive. There's nothing proactive at the moment because you can't be proactive because who knows what the circumstances are. So everything's reactive, and when everything's reactive, you're half a step behind and feels like, oh, another one. I think the best first thing we can do is get rid of 2020 and then see where we find ourselves at the end, because this has been a roller coaster, to say the least, this year on every level. People worrying about the families, about their elderly relatives, about kids, about schools, about where, about can we go to the Asda to get the shopping? You know what I mean? It's big stuff. So I think the best thing to do is get this year out of the way, and let's hope we can go.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's been such a challenge for everybody this 2020, and so restrictive, not just for football, but people's personal lives, people's work. It's been a real game changer. And the weird thing is, I think about COVID is that it's not just the UK; it's global. Yeah. You know, everyone's experiencing this same thing at the same time. It's a huge transformation of what's happened.
It is. I just want to get it over with, but I want to get the best way to do it is just get an actual solution instead of trying 15 solutions and saying a variation of people all saying that one's rubbish, this one's rubbish. Find something to do it now. You just said it then, everybody's got an interest in ending it. Everybody, it's not political. It's across every line and across every country, in religion and creed. So let's find a collective solution to it, and then let's all get back to life, please. Because this is literally showing us you don't know how long you've got. So let's sort it out.
Scary times. David, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's been great to chat about the early days at Everton and the making of the film, and it's been really interesting. So as a final thought, and I know it's a real funny thing because I don't know if I do another podcast which is with some of my mates, and we talk about football and stuff, and it's a fans thing, and they were like pressing me for a prediction this season. And I was like, you've got to understand that we don't like to commit because we've been here before. I said I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm like, I was here with Koeman, and I was like, we bought some midfielders, we bought some number 10s, we bought some this, and I was like, and then it didn't happen, and it just nothing. It was just like the most frustrating thing when I thought, there's a chance, and but you're right. Until someone kicks a ball, we just don't know, because we never know. When you buy a lot of players abroad, you don't know how they're going to be in the Premier League because it's completely different. Yeah,
they've also got to gel and mesh with the other players you've got. We're looking at the problem, and we need to invert our perspective and just say, we've got the potential We're working, instead of working on a Volkswagen Beetle, we're now working on a Maserati, or potentially we are. Our thinking needs to change. We need to start applying different standards and giving time for things to grow and blossom and develop. But to sit here today as an Evertonian and say this isn't the best transfer window we've had probably in your lifetime,
Very much.
well, then I disagree with you entirely. So never mind about predictions. This is the problem with football today. It just rolls over. That happened, okay, forget about that, next one. No, we waited a long time to be here. So let's just take a moment to say, no matter what happens here on Sunday, we're in a far better place than we were last window, the window before, and every other window that most people can remember. We've still got the potential to make more signings this window. Never mind about the next window or the one after that, because we seem to be in that game now, that oeuvre now, that realm now. That's the big win. Never mind about prediction.
Do you have confidence in Ancelotti?
Absolutely. I did before he came. I wanted him the last time when Silva came, to be perfectly frank, but absolutely. You can see, if you haven't got confidence in him, you haven't been paying attention to the transfer market. Because that's why he came, because of him. So I have absolutely got confidence in him.
Yeah, I do as well. I do. It definitely feels different to be an Everton fan. Definitely feels different, and I just hope. But you're right. You're absolutely right. I think what I love about what you've done today is you always bring me back, or bring us back to enjoy now.
Yeah.
Enjoy this moment. Forget about Sunday. Forget about just enjoy this very moment, because you're right. This is the best transfer window you've probably.
So then let's see that. That being the case, fabulous. Now let's turn up for the first 3 or 4 games, get a system, see how we're going to fit into it, see how many players fit this way, or are they better coming off the bench, or are we better getting. There's a myriad of varieties on it. So he's a clever man. I'm good with it. Let's settle into who we are. It's a new deal for everybody. Even the players who are already there have got to get used to some new stuff. So as long as we're going forward, I'm all good with it.
Good. Well, maybe later in the season, let's have another touch point and see
Maybe.
how things are progressing. I'd love to get the inside track on what's going on up there.
No worries. Okay.
Good man. Thanks for your time. You take
No
care.
worries, Dan. Take it easy, brother.
Take care. Cheers, buddy.
Peace.
Cheers.
Peace. Sorry.